Hi, Abby here. I want to thank you for joining me today. I'm going to be doing a special channeled message for the spring equinox, and this is going to be kind of tuned into human ascension, energy updates, and any other types of messages that Spirit would like to share with all of us today. A few things that I've noticed with the energy this month. I've noticed a lot of encouragement for us to relax and get grounded, really to be tuned into the moment, the now experience. And how do you do that? You just simply sit down and acknowledge that you are present today, that you are here. You look around and you experience being here. I've been doing that a lot more. Another thing I've been noticing is encouragement to get heart-centered. So instead of getting in the mind with psychic development even, it's time to get into the heart, get tuned into who we are deep down inside, even to get emotionally connected and allow our heart to help digest our feelings and to digest our thoughts so we can become more expanded and aware, right? And I would say productivity. I don't know about you guys, but these are the things that have been coming through for me in this month of March. So I'm going to go ahead and relax now and get connected, and we'll see what Spirit has to share with us today. It's hard to really know where to begin with this. There seems to be a brightness, but the brightness is sort of hidden behind what looks like a log, actually, like a fallen tree. A tree that's been cut down, and then you can see all the rings of the tree. And so if you're standing in a certain level, you can see the light. But if you're standing beneath where this tree has fallen, it kind of cuts the light out. And so you can just see the rings, and it's kind of more of a shadowed image. That's the first thing that I see. There's a challenge here in how will we bring the tree back to this stump. Obviously, once the tree's cut down, it's cut down. So maybe it's better to make use of the tree's materials instead of spending the time to try to put it back the way that it used to be. Just to let it go. Because trees sometimes fall down. Sometimes they fall down on purpose. Sometimes they fall down because they were just meant to. This kind of reminds me of relationships. Sometimes relationships fall apart on purpose. We do things purposefully to hurt each other without saying it. I didn't do that on purpose. But yet I really wanted to make you feel how I felt inside, you know? So relationships don't thrive in those types of environments, right? So it's kind of like we'll just cut that tree down because I'm sick of dealing with it, you know? And then we don't really know how to work through it. Could be relationship related, could be a job related. Maybe it's time to cut that job down, you know? Maybe we need to cut the job down, and we have new tools, right? So maybe we can work with new energy, a new way of seeing things. So now we have this tree that's falling down that we can transform into something productive and more useful. But we really can't put the tree back the way it was, so we need to move on, all right? We really need to move on. And there's something too about moving on and just embracing the light of the sun. And really in the end, what does it matter? The tree's fallen down. We can appreciate the tree for as it is, fallen down. We can appreciate the lifespan of the tree itself. We can't put the tree back where it was. It's okay. Let's move on. Let's enjoy the light of the sun now. This message isn't talking about the degradation of the planet, like you may be picking up on that. It's not necessarily saying, well, planet's in degradation, let's just accept it the way that it is, but really enjoy the sunlight. On the level that most people would see it as a panic, right? The degradation of the planet is a panic because we only have so much time before the planet itself dies and we die with it. But in a way, it's kind of positive, as though there's brighter days, and we need to open up to seeing the bigger, brighter picture instead of looking at the direct problem in front of us here and just looking at the problem and trying to fix the problem with ways that just aren't going to fix the problem. Maybe we need to see something new, see something different. And in the process of seeing something different, we come up with new ideas and ways to move forward and beyond what could be a tragedy. Maybe it was a good thing. It's time for the next step in life. I will say there's kind of a barren emptiness, kind of a stuck in the middle feeling. Not really sure. Not really sure where to take it from here. We're just sort of waiting. That's what it's like right now. This whole scene with the forest, the tree had fallen down, looking at the rings of the tree, try to fix the tree. There's the sun. All this stuff is now dissolved, and now I feel like I'm a child stuck in the middle. And there's two big tall people on either side of me. And it's sort of like, it's not gray image, it's like a tan colored image. And there's something very plain about this. And there's also something that feels kind of... The passion is lacking. The passion is definitely lacking, and it feels a bit disappointing. I see this child in the middle. I go to her and I tell her, it's up to you. It's not the two people on either side of you that are creating the feeling of being in the middle. It's you that is choosing to feel in the middle. You have to be the one to create the passion, to create the next thing. It comes from within you. It doesn't come from out there. And why wait for these two adults to figure it out when you're the creative one? You're the child. The passion and the creativity, it comes from you. She's very timid and she doesn't have the confidence. She doesn't have the confidence to step forwards because these two tall people are just simply too tall, and they cast a shadow. And the shadow creates anxiety and fear. It kind of reminds me of, let's just say it's a Hollywood scenario. There's people that are in control of a big deal bad thing. And we have one good person here that finds out some information and could present this information to the court system in order to take down this really bad thing. This many people that are kind of working together in a tree with branches and roots of negativity. And the tree just seems way too big and casting too much of a dark shadow. So there's intimidation. So in the end, nothing actually happens to change anything. And it's the darkness now that has the power, because the light feels like an innocent child that is afraid to step out and say what they want to say. Well, how's anything going to change? How is anything going to change? I see this little girl getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And we're looking at the image of the tree and the image of the sunlight. And it feels hopeless or helpless to her. She doesn't know how to look for better, brighter days. She doesn't really care about fixing the tree, but she also does care about the tree. And that's what she's working with right now. So I say, well, what if you are the tree? How would you feel? Would you feel like you lived a good long life? Would you feel like it was persecution, a punishment that you didn't deserve? Would you be at peace? We're going to go into this tree and see what it's like. The tree is basically dead material. It has nothing to say. It literally is moved on. It's like the spirit of the tree is totally moved on. There's nothing more to see here. So let's see what the sunlight feels like. Maybe it has more to tell us. So we're going into the sun right now. It's brighter days and they feel like they're too far away. They're too far into the distance and we'll never reach them. But I say the rays of the sun are already here. There's a reason why we can see it. So why are brighter days on the horizon? They're here right now. The sun is already up right now. The bright day is today. The day is today that you make a choice. She is hearing me and she does resonate with what I'm saying. She says I'm going to have to grow up quite a lot before I can make that choice. And she shows me that she needs about 15 years before she will be big enough, strong enough to step forward. I say, what if you already are big enough and strong enough? You're just choosing to feel like a child and create an excuse. I'm going to see her as an adult now with two people standing next to her that are the exact same height. And they're all just blacked out as shadow. She has no confidence. She can't look people in the eye. She doesn't eat right. She's wearing a red dress. It's really tight. It looks like something you'd wear to a nightclub. And she just looks way too skinny. She's shivering. Her skin is cold. She's half dead. I just see her withering away. She has no inner power at all. She's just letting life happen to her. And that's the way life is, I guess. I say you can change this whenever you're ready. You just stop what you're doing. Can't you just simply stop what you're doing? Isn't that an option? She doesn't want to hear me. I'm putting this woman in the forest right by this tree. Instead of the child, we're going to do the woman. She's got red high heel shoes on. She looks like she's going to the nightclub. She looks like she does drugs. She looks like she's dying. And somehow she is going to keep going like this, in this lifestyle. Something changes in her when she connects with nature. It's a totally different experience. Something is returned to her. Some part of herself is returned to her when she's in nature. She remembers who she is. And she takes the red high heel shoes off. She touches the tree. And the tree does scream many events. And there's many different layers of consciousness, all right? So some people are working with conscious thinking, mind-based thinking, ego-based thinking, and it's kind of like a war and a battle with literally everything, with themselves, with their friends, family, their choices, their jobs, whatever it could be, could very well just remain a battle. And it's everybody else's fault, not my fault. It could be like that, you know. So this tree echoes lots of events from different levels of conscious thinking. It's justified, you know. And the war is justified because I need this to happen for me to feel better, you know, about myself. So this is actually echoing out. Makes sense why the tree reminded me of relationships, but it was really loudly relationships that are thinking with the mind and sort of strangling each other, and it's the other person's fault. It's just a disaster. That is echoing out of this tree, but it's not just that. It's people from different layers of thinking and perspective, and people even who are in their heart that feel a tragedy with the way the world is, or the way animals are treated, or the way that the government is doing things, or whatever else it might be. But it feels like this tree is echoing such a loud noise of calamity and chaos. It's painful. And she looks at this tree and she touches it with her hand, and she hears all of this screaming noise, all of these events of suffering from all the different levels of consciousness. And she says that I will give my body to this tree in order to heal it. That's what she says. Totally transforms in nature, and then she seems to remember some magical essence of herself, and now is choosing to give herself as a gift in order to heal nature, which is in a way to heal her own nature from this image of a woman who's strung out, and this woman who is finding herself again and choosing a pathway of rejuvenation, healing, and gift giving to help the world. The light shines down from behind her, down onto her, and it kind of gives a saintly emanation. And she's still looking at this fallen tree. Her back is to the sun, and she is facing the tree. She's closing her eyes. It's interesting. She's definitely expressing something. It's like birds are singing from within her heart, but there's a resistance or confusion. How do I go beyond myself in order to give this gift? Because I can't exactly merge with this tree. So now I'm kind of confused as to this instinctive inspiration, and then how I put this inspiration into action. I'm a human, it's a tree, I can't just merge my body with it. So I have to go into the metaphorical meaning, the energetic meaning, the spiritual and soul meaning of this choice. And how do I do that? That's raising consciousness, you see. So this message here is exploring the many different layers of human thinking and consciousness, right? And even she is a reflection of child, woman going through suffering by choice. It feels like the world has done it to her. She feels that way. But she can choose to stop at any time. Sometimes we need support and help, right? And this transition with nature, that encourages her spirit to come forward. But now the next step is the human that wants to sort of graduate into a spiritual essence, the human ascension meaning, right? How do we go from human to what we truly are, which is soul? We've always been soul. We just thought we were human. And now there's the confusion here. The sun still shines down upon her. I'm supposed to tell you that, just so you know. I go to her and I give her a hug and I say, I'm really impressed. I have seen all the different ways that you have struggled through life, and you yourself found the strength and the courage to get to this point, to be in this predicament, which is actually quite a good predicament to be in. And I just give her a hug. The next inspiration is, why don't we move on from the tree, and why don't we go out into this pasture and experience the sunlight? Maybe it's time to just move on from all these chaotic events and start something fresh and new in a place of peace and balance, because it can be peaceful and it can be balanced already. Some part of this is also talking to me about, we hold on to things. What's a good example? The first example that comes to mind is, how are we ever going to heal the issues between black and white here in the United States? Because some people are still holding on to the racist experiences that took place here for several hundred years. And now it's still an issue. But sometimes it's okay to just let it go and just start being your own person. Doesn't matter black or white, you're just a human being. And that human being is all that matters right now, not what was 100 years ago or 200 years ago, but what is right now. So why do we have to keep dividing ourselves based on what happened to people we don't even know several hundred years ago? It doesn't actually matter anymore because we can choose to change the reality based on just letting go of what was and now walking forward as that which we choose to be. We can choose to be happy whenever we're ready. We can choose to stop the addictions whenever we're ready. We can choose to step forward from the shadow and start speaking the truth whenever we're ready. We can choose it whenever we're ready. But why are we holding on to the past? Why are we holding on to the hurts? Why are we holding on to the wounds? Why are we holding on to this stuff? It doesn't matter anymore. It's old stuff. The timeline is over. It's just the last echoes that we're still holding on to, and we can move on whenever we're ready. As a collective, as a human race, we can move on in support of each other as a human race. This tree is super symbolic, and she struggles to let go of it. She struggles to let go of all of this suffering at all the different consciousness levels. And somebody has to heal them. Somebody has to help. And that's where the support comes in, right? Because sometimes we don't know how to help ourselves. So sometimes we need support and encouragement. And sometimes people abuse of support and encouragement. Some people feel they're entitled to support and encouragement. So is support and encouragement helping people that are just entitled to it? They just deserve it? They don't have to do anything to actually earn it, to be grateful for it, to actually have respect for the people that are helping you. There's something about how we're working with love here in order to help people or in order to enable people. You see? So this next thing is about, are we helping them or are we enabling them when it comes to all the different conscious levels of holding on to the suffering? Because everybody in the human race can choose whenever they're ready to step into light and love, and whatever happens in their life happens, but they can still choose to step into light and love, and they can choose to work in their heart any old time they're ready to. So what do I owe literally everybody on the planet? I'm doing this for myself. I'm doing this to heal the world, but in the end the world has to decide what it wants to be and what it wants to do with that, you know? So I'm talking to her about this. And I say the most powerful thing that you can do to help the human race is help yourself. And to be the light that you want to see in this world, right? To be a representation of that which you want to see in this world. And you can be that. You can be love. And now when you become an advertisement, literally a walking advertisement, a spokesperson for love just by being yourself, you alter people. You ever see someone walk into a room and you're just blown away by their confidence and you just admire them instantaneously? And these people could be attractive or totally not attractive, but you just freaking are like, whoa. And it's not their appearance that impresses you, it's their confidence, you know? There's something about that air that we can emanate when we choose to be deeply connected with our heart, and we choose to be truly honest with our personalities and our identities without worrying about what other people think, and we just be ourselves. We can just be ourselves, not the facade that we think people want us to be, but what we want to be, you know? And we can do that with love, right? And now we become a powerful spokesperson energetically, emanating a new way of walking, of being, of speaking, of thinking, of loving. She says, so I'm just supposed to walk away from the tree. I'm not supposed to do anything to help them. They say, what does your heart tell you to do? It's not for me to tell you what to do. It's for you to tell yourself what to do. What's your heart tell you to do? She shows me there's 3 people specifically that she's called to help in this life. Help a lot. They're people that are close to her. And they all kind of look like little balls of light out of what are billions of faces. And these ones light up very specifically. So she collects these 3, and then she puts the light into her heart, and she says, I'm going to take these 3 that I'm called to help, and I'm going to carry them within my heart into the light of the sun with me. And I say, wow, wow, that is amazing. I think that is just so awesome. Somehow this information, this inspiration comes to the little girl that's still sort of emanating here in the 2 dark shadows. And she admires this woman. She sees an adult make a choice, and that choice reflects back into this girl in such a powerful way. It changes her for the rest of her life. And then in 15 years, she does grow up to also come to this tree and to explore her own heart and her calling. And she also finds little lights within the tree that she too can collect and place into her heart, and then take those lights into the light of the sun, so that everyone can heal, that she is called to participate in this love-sharing experience. Human ascension, right? Now these 2 people in the shadow have nobody to cast the shadow upon, because we're all choosing to just simply enter into the light. They can stay in the shadow if they want to stay in the shadow. We can do things to change. We don't have to wait for the dark stuff to decide to be good now. We can just be good. And there's lots of us who actually are loving, awesome people. And we could just be ourselves, and we can work together and create our own movements. And when we do that, we create a powerful shift and change that we manifest. We don't wait for somebody in the government or somebody in the community to do it. We can do it, you know? So I see these 2 tall, shadowy figures have lost their purpose because they don't have anybody to destroy. They don't have anybody to intimidate. They don't have anybody to control. They're forced to change now. They don't know how to. And they stay in the dark. Now I see the little girl and this woman with the bright lights within their heart in the sunlight. I see them looking at the 2 shadows. And I see them both have a courageous inspiration. And together they walk towards these 2 in the shadow, and they give them a hug. It's not about what these people had done, because we just want to move forward. And we don't have time to persecute people in order to help ourselves feel better, you know. We need to just create the solutions and move on with our lives. Seriously. Let's give them a hug so we can help them to heal and follow us now into the sunlight. Because they too are a part of the tree that has fallen. And how are we going to help them if we are persecuting them, judging them, or leaving them to rot? I don't believe in hell. I don't believe any souls need to be left to rot, no matter how bad they are. We can always inspire them to return to love anytime, and that's what Jesus would do. So there's a delay here in their inspiration, these 2 dark shadows, their inspiration to come with these 2 into the light of the sun. But they do feel like they have gained an element of learning and perspective that they didn't have before. And they need some time to think about this. It's well-deserved time. I see the woman and the child move on. And many years pass, and they're smiling and they're happy. There's a huge emotional release coming through here. It's just like so much suffering, so many cries, and so many people saying, help me, help me. And the 2 dark shadows are just still lingering there with all these people saying, help me. And they just stand there. They do nothing. Are they really the evil of the world, or are they us standing in the shadows afraid to do anything to help people? You see the complex nature of what we're talking about here for the spring equinox? You see? This dark shadow person could be you. Not stepping out of the shadow to share your own light with this world. Maybe you're the timid child that is too afraid. You haven't found the strength within you. Maybe 15 years from now you will. Maybe today you will. The light of the sun is there. And you can be yourself whenever you're ready. You can be yourself. And you can be a part of this. You already are a part of this, right? But you can really follow your heart and do so much more than you could imagine. But you got to choose to do that. All right, so this image is self fading out, and that's what I'm supposed to share with all of you. I'm just going to close my eyes for just another moment, kind of disconnect from the energy. That was a really good message. I wasn't sure where that message was going at first. That tree was really signifying like a Jerry Springer energy that I didn't really know if I needed to walk into that too much. But that exists too. All the levels of consciousness exist. And when are we going to work in our heart? And the more we work in our heart, then we get out of the mind, we get out of the facades, we get out of the drama, and we start coming into a place of realness, all right? Real. The real world. The real world is wise and enlightened and works within the heart. Some people would say the real world is messed up, screwed up. There's also parts of the real world that are actually enlightened and wise and working with their heart. So what is true? They both can be true. Or maybe love was the only thing that was real. We either choose to work in our mind or we work in our heart. If we work in our mind, we're working with illusion. We're working with ideas and thoughts, and we get wrapped up in them, and we want to just get lost in them at times. The only way to really get centered and grounded is to get in your heart and ask yourself, who am I? Who truly am I? Who do I want to be? Why am I making these choices? Am I making these choices because I want to make these choices? Am I making these choices because I'm trying to do the right thing for somebody else, but it's really not for me? Am I doing it to impress somebody? Am I doing it because I want something out of it? I mean, these are the questions you ask yourself in order to see if you're working in your mind or you're working in your heart. You just stop what you're doing and you get into yourself and you find out why you're doing it, you know? All right, that's all I got to say. Thank you for joining me on this journey, this human ascension journey. Not just this video, but actually just joining me here on Earth. Yeah, so that's all I got to say. And if any of you would like to connect with me for a psychic session, please visit me at my website at abbeynormalswisdomquest.com. I hope you all have a great day and a happy spring equinox.